Yeah, I'm just getting calvinkeeney.com up. I mean, when I published this, it probably would have been up for a couple months, but it was way less work doing my second website than the first one. Like my first one took me a year and a half maybe, or something crazy. Like it took me forever to actually figure out how I wanted to do it and stuff. And this one, I basically just copied what I did with that one. I was like, wow, why was I dreading the second one so hard? But then filling it with content still a time. But that's the fun of it, is making the content to put on the site.
Yep, it can be fun.
Yeah.
It's also a lot of work. People don't realize.
It's extremely a lot of work. I mean, I did this, how long did I was doing it for about a year and a half. About a year and a half. I was focusing on it without a job. So I went full into my Streamlined Gaming website, and was where you were in that I was doing that full time. And there came a point where I just ran out of money. And so I had to go back to work, and then I made some money, and then now I'm working part-time trying to go back to it. Just 'cause I love doing it. So I call it a hobby for me, because I don't really make enough money to call it anything else. I actually lose money every year, but hopefully one day it will be more than a hobby. I definitely work on it more than it's a hobby. So.
Right. And for me, the reason I said that is because I think it can be a bit of a mindset thing. Call it a business.
So you think it would be helpful for me if I called it a business?
I do.
I think you're right, because definitely
I think you look at it differently.
With my Calvin Keeney personal brand, I actually got my calendar out. I'm marketing. I want to post on, my podcast these days, which right now is every other day. And then on my Facebook and YouTube, every other day, the other day. So every day I'm making content somewhere. And then for my big content, I'll post it on my website as well. And there's a lot going on, but it's also content that is extremely fun for me to make. And, like me and you talking here is me getting to talk to a friend, and I get to share that with someone. So that kind of content's really cool to me. The gaming content's fun as well. I noticed it was less satisfying actually posting it. Because once I'd work really hard on a piece of content, I would post it, and it would probably help some people, but most of my inner circle, family and friends, they didn't really care that much about making their own game, which is fine. But I really wanted to start making stuff that I could share with them and help them out too, So that's kind of why I've started shifting more of my energy to my personal brand, calvinkeeney.com, and all that over the last, I don't know, it's probably been like 4 months really that I've really gone into it. Probably since August 2018. So yeah, it's been a fun ride. We'll have to figure out more how to monetize those fun things.
Right. And there are so many ways, and I think it really depends on the brand that you're building as to how you would go about monetizing it.
Yeah, I'm currently, for calvinkeeney.com, I'm currently just trying to make helpful content. I have this, so one of the 8 books I read, right? I read it like it was probably last summer or something. And it was #Positivity by Phil Hellmuth, a poker player. And I don't read many books, but my brother, he bought it, and it was like 50 pages long. It was really little. I was like, I'll read a page or two. And then I got hooked into it. I found the book that I liked, and it was, yeah. And so I was reading it. I read it all in like 2 days, which is, again, for 50 pages, someone could probably read that in 20 minutes or, an hour or whatever. But for me, it took a while. But I read it. And then the whole book was basically about finding your life goal or something to shoot for it. Even if you don't attain it, you have something to shoot for. And then after you have that life goal, which for me, I took a day or two to figure out what my life goal was. And I settled on to help 100,000 or more people in a positive and significant way. At first I was like, I want to help a lot of people, but the book and Phil Hellmuth suggested to put a number to it, so you kind of have something to shoot for. So I put 100,000 more. I was like, sure, that sounds very difficult. I'll try for that. So now that I have that that higher goal for my life, I can make my weekly, my yearly, my daily goals based on that. And so every day, at the end of the day, I might not do this every day, but most days I'm actually looking, did I help people? Did I do things that can help people in the future? And on the days that I did do those things, I'm usually happier. And the days where I sat around and didn't help people, I look back and it was not as good of a day for me. So that's been really helpful for me, being motivated to create content like this, and in the hopes that it can help people.
Yeah, that's really neat. I love it.
Well,
I love
thanks.
the 100,000. I love the number. That's a significant number.
It's very significant. And that's not something that you can do by not creating online content. Like, the only way that's really attainable, if the internet wasn't here, maybe my number would be like 1,000 or 800. I don't know.
800.
Yeah.
Random.
804 or more. But with the internet, I was like, well, maybe it's definitely possible to help 100,000 more people. It's still a very hard goal, but I like challenges. So I was like, 100,000, let's try it. And so making a podcast was like, that definitely would help me reach more people. So let's make a podcast. And then having a website and having a YouTube channel, having a Facebook page, and putting all my content there, that will likely help me to help other people. So
right.
Again, it's a lot of work that I probably wouldn't suggest to people unless you have some really high goal like that, or wanting to make money on your own, which, as you know, is way harder than it sounds.
Yeah, it can be. It kind of depends. I see people just doing it and they do awesome, and I see people struggling. So it does depend, and I'll tell you one thing that I have learned is that helping people, not only do you get, I think you get rewards for doing that, emotionally it feels good to help people, and it's good for society, to be a helpful person and help people get what they want and what they need. And I think when you do that, you get something back, even if it's just a good feeling,
So
hopefully it's also money.
Yeah, it's
because if you're putting out, like, the amount of, I have 428 posts on my site.
Wow.
And
impressive.
So that's a lot of
How
work.
long have you been working on it?
Since June of 2013. So that it's a lot of work, and it's a lot of my time and my effort that I have put in. And so even, providing free content essentially. So
when did you start seeing decent returns on that, on your time?
Well, the amount of time you put in, I guess, what is a decent return?
Well,
right?
when did you, so like for me, I've been working on Streamlined Gaming for almost 3.5 years. I published it about two years ago, 2 years and a couple months. And just within the last maybe couple months, I'm seeing that it might actually make more money than I spend this year, which, I've spent tens of thousands of dollars getting it up and going.
Wow.
Well, a lot of that was, me hiring someone and helping me.
Oh.
Yeah. So I was having a hard time doing it by myself. But anyway, I spent a lot of money on it, making the content. A lot of it actually was also ads. I've been learning ads, and which is fun for me. That's another hobby for me is marketing and ads, and like the analytical part of my brain just loves it for some reason. But now that I don't have a full-time job that I'm also doing, I've stopped the ads. So I'm like, oh, well, maybe it will definitely make more money than I'm spending this year, which is kind of nice, even if I didn't make a lot of more content for it. So for me, that's kind of like going from I'm losing money every year, thousands of dollars every year, to I might actually make a little more than I spend on it this year. And that's like kind of the tipping point, like, oh, maybe it will be worth all of the hard work. It might still not be, but so
well,
for
I
you,
hope it is.
me too.
The point, right? So you did things differently than I did, because you hired out and you spent money on ads, and I did not do either one of those things. So my expenses were probably lower, so I could
much lower.
make a profit sooner because of that.
So when did you feel that it was worth it? Or are you still waiting?
Financially, or see, for me,
Hmm.
I mean, I knew that it was worth it the first time that I got an email from a reader that told me that I really, really helped them. You know, and I felt that, you know, I made a difference in someone's life. And so, you know, they told me that they loved the site and they liked what I was sharing, and that they were able to do this activity with their son and he loved it. And, you know, that made me feel really good.
That does feel good.
I think, you know, that is a big deal to me, that people are enjoying, you know, the content that I'm putting out, and that they're getting something from it. And for me, a lot of it is, you know, obviously it's about the moms, but it's also about those boys. You know, I just want kids to be able to grow up and learn, I guess, learn that learning isn't a horrible thing, you know, that it's a joy.
Yeah.
And that it
that's
brings your life to new levels, and that it, you know, learning can be a really fun and enriching experience. And so if boys can get that and some good books, I'll be happy.
That's awesome. For me, as far as the non-financial part, which is actually, to me, is bigger than the financial part, which is why I've still been able to, like, I would have shut this down long ago if it was me worried about the money I would make, because I knew I was going to be losing money for a while. I would have shut it down. But I definitely agree. For me, helping people has been nice. And I've gotten some emails, some comments on Streamlined Gaming, and those always feel good. Like, thanks, man. This video helped me make my game. And I was like,
right, yeah,
that's what I wanted with that content. Thank you for sharing that with me, you know? And then recently, as I started started my personal brand, I posted this video. My first podcast was with my grandma that I posted. It was just, you know, us talking and talking about how we're both creative and, you know, all that. And on that, when I posted on Facebook on my personal page, one of my best friends from growing up, he said, hold on, I have it on my desktop. Oh, I think it's on my other desktop. Dang it. But anyway, he basically said, I needed this before work. Thanks. Because he knew my grandma and he knew me. And I was like, oh, that's why I do it. That felt good.
I watched that.
Oh, nice.
That was nice. And the one with your grandpa too.
They're amazing. But yeah, like, that's being able to share my friends and family and experiences with others. I think that's going to be have a lot of fulfillment for me. And, you know, it also has the upside of being able to help people if I ask the right questions and bring on the right guests.
Right.